Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the CreaLien Design podcast, my podcast about knitting and spinning and other fiber crafts. My name is Eline and you can find me online as CreaLien Design. I'm CreaLien Design on Etsy with CreaLien Design yarns. I am CreaLien Design on Instagram and on Ravelry, but I'm very much behind on Ravelry. I'm not really using it anymore as much. Like I said, my name is Eline and I'm coming to you as always from my home in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, where I live with my lovely cat Joop, who you might be able to hear him snore because he is right here with me, chilling. Hey, Joopie? Joopie? Oh, he is just chilling and I need to pet him. And I was sitting down to record and he promptly wanted to have some cuddles. And of course I cannot reject cuddles. Yeah? I hope you can hear me because he's snoring quite loudly. Aren't you? You buddy. Okay, so it's been a while since I last recorded. How are you all doing? It's still Corona. We are now in, is it the third lockdown or the second lockdown? I lost count, and we have a curfew. So after 9 o'clock in the evening, we're not allowed to go out. We had a lot of snow, which is very uncommon for the Netherlands, and especially in a big city like Rotterdam, where I live. So we had like 20 centimeters of snow yesterday and the day before. So really nice. I love snow, and it's really cold outside now. I believe it's -5 degrees Celsius or something. So, but the sun is out and it's beautiful. So I thought it's the perfect time to record a new episode. Okay, I have so much to show you today. I didn't record for a long time because I didn't really work on much ever since New Year's. I haven't really felt like working on any of the projects that I have going on, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of a slog every evening. Like, I don't want to sit still and do nothing, and then hair, but at the same time I didn't want to work on anything that I had. So I thought I didn't do a lot, but in the end I didn't do a lot, so I have a lot to show you. But let me start out by something my boyfriend gifted me last night. A few days ago he told me, well, I have an idea for a gift for you, but I have to order something for it. And he said, I don't know if I want to purchase it already made or if I'm going to make it myself. Okay, completely random gift, not for anything. And then he decided he was going to make it himself, so he purchased stuff to make it. Okay, I didn't know what it was. He's not like, he doesn't have hobbies where he works with his hands and makes things, so I was like, okay, fine. And so then, like, the day before yesterday, he was like, okay, I think I'm going to make your gift now because the materials have arrived. And an hour later I got a text, well, your gift is finished. I was like, how did you make something in an hour? And it's something that you think I will really like? And I was like, I have no clue. So last night he came by to bring it, and I really love it. Look what he made me. He did some wood burning, and he made my yarn brand name with hand-dyed yarn. And this, first I thought he made like a country or something, and I didn't know which country it was. But it's the outline of my watercolor background that I have in my logo. And then he made Joop. He even made a tiny little Joop. Look. It's so fun. So super fun. I really like it. Super happy with that. So that was sort of not knitting related, but well, it was my business related. I think it's really fun. So let's get started on some knitting, shall we? I have knitting, I have crocheting, I have spinning, I have something new, very exciting something new. But let's start with another sock parade, because that's what we start with every episode, don't we? So it's not like the 11 socks or something from like last time. I only have 6 socks. That's doable, right? I think that's doable. Let's start with the most fun pair. And that is these. Don't you love them? They are so bright. And the sun is also quite bright, so I don't think you can really see them that well. This, look, I made them matchy. They are exact opposites, and the toes start at the exact opposite spot in the yarn. But there's more pink in the yarn than there is blue, so it doesn't seem like they match up here. But they really do. And I think it's super cool. They are opposites. I made these out of Regia Fluormania in color 06589. It's there, where? Here, Farbe. And yeah, it's DK weight. It's a 6-ply sock yarn, and I love them. They are so bright and cheerful, and I'm so happy that I can finally wear them now. I think, there it went. I really want to walk. I think last time I had knit one, and now I knit the second one. So now we have a pair. Yay! First pair of socks. Okay, then the next sock. Well, I don't know if this is actually the next sock I finished, but the next sock that I'm showing you is this one. This is my Rainbow Fever colorway. And now it's covered in cat hair because Joop was just walking on it. This is my Rainbow Fever colorway. The last time I showed it, it was already here at the cuff. I don't think I had a heel yet, so I finished the cuff, put in a heel, and here we have a bright neon, super fun sock that I love. I really love this one. It's so much fun. Yep. Oh, and how I knit my sock. I knit my socks, I start at the toe, I knit them toe up, knit a tube, and then put in an afterthought heel, which you can find lots of tutorials for online. Happy. And then the next one is this one, Bilbo's Happy Place, on my gold sparkle sock base. Oh, he is playing with his tail, and he is trying to kick things off the table. Anyway, Bilbo's Happy Place. And the last time I showed this one, I was at this marker, so I also finished this cuff and the heel. I love this one so much. Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah. But yeah, not a lot of work got done on these. They were almost finished last time. So I'm going to put some other socks on those blockers. So I'll be back in a second. Next up, we have this sock, which is a sock I knit out of one of my advent colourways. Colourways, advent calendar colorways. This was day 4, and I really love it. I now have this in the shop. It's actually called Hula Hoop, and I think it's such a fun colorway. It's so cheerful. I really like it. This was knit out of 120 grams mini. So 120 gram mini can give me a full shorty sock without contrasting heels or toes. It's just a full shorty sock, ankle sock. So if you wanted to make a full length sock, then if you put in a contrasting heel and toe, you can have, with one mini skein, 20 gram mini skein, you can knit a full length sock. And if you use a contrast yarn, of course. So I finished that one, and I finished another one this one. And this was also an Advent colorway, and now it's covered in hairs because Joop was sitting here. Anyway, and this was day 2 of my Advent colorways. And this colorway is also available in the shop. I don't think it's all out. No, it's still in the shop. And this one was called Show Stealer. And I just love how it knit up. Oh, I love this one so much. It's also 120 gram mini. And that was it. That was it for finished objects. And socks. Well, I do have 2 sock works in progress, but that was it for the finished objects. Then let's move on to works in progress. Shall we start with socks? I only have 2 sock work in progress, so let's just start with those, right? Then we have the socks out of the way, and I can show you all the other things I've been working on. So I pulled out an unfinished object, and I thought it was about time to start finishing it. And that is, okay, it's a self-striping yarn. Oops. Ta-da! That's these, and they are attached to one little ball of yarn. I'm working from the inside and the outside at once, at the same time. These socks, yeah, were started 2 at a time. I went through a phase where I wanted to only knit 2 at a time socks, to knit all my socks 2 at a time, and but that phase abruptly stopped, and these were still on the 2 at a time magic loop needles, and I really didn't want to do it anymore, so they became unfinished objects. And well, it's a really fun yarn, so I thought, well, I'm just going to knit it now. This yarn was the very first, it wasn't the first self-striping that I dyed, but it was the first self-striping that was it was like my official try before I started putting them in the shop. Does that make sense? It was my final tryout, and I decided, I found that the stripes were a little bit too wide, so I made them a bit narrower. But the next self-striping that I dyed was actually, it did go into the shop, so this was my final tryout. So when I picked them up, they were like, they are going to have afterthought heels, and this one is going to be in the yellow, and this one is going to be in the green. But you can see, like, I think I picked them up right here because there's this line that looks a little bit different. Oh yeah, I put in a marker. Hello. This one is now ready for the cuff, I believe. I don't have that much yarn left, so I put in a marker for the middle colors that they are going to be my cuff, I think, the ribbing. Well, I had an idea. I don't remember what my idea was, but it was a great plan, and I have to figure out what the plan was before I continue with these. But it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine, and they're going to be really fun socks. I do have to put in contrasting heels, like dye some yarn, like minis for it, because I don't have enough of the self-striping to do the heels in self-striping. Okay. I hope that made sense. The final socks, let me grab them. Final sock work in progress, and you have seen this before, but I forked it and started again. What I'm knitting here, just let me grab it all, is, oh, not this side of the pattern, but the front. Here it is. These are the Northern Sky socks, which is a pattern by Marianne, who goes under the name Running Yarn. And as I say, every single time I talk about these socks, go follow her on Instagram, because her Instagram is amazing. She lives in Switzerland. She runs long runs, like marathons, and on her in the mountains, in the Alps. So she takes pictures along the way, and it's beautiful, and her knitwear is beautiful, and everything is beautiful. So follow her. Running yarn. She runs and where she works with yarn, so that's a good name. Anyway, I started these socks quite some time ago, and I had put them away. Well, let me show you what I got first. And I put them away because they were becoming too tight. It was a real struggle to get this color work go over my heel. I could do it, but it was kind of annoying, and I was knitting at 2mm straight double point needles. And the reason I went down to 2mm needles is because there were 72 stitches, and 72 stitches is far too much for what I need for my feet. I usually knit my socks at 56 stitches, but color work is of course less stretchy, so you cannot have that much negative ease as I usually have. So I decided to go down in needle size for that amount of stitches, but I knitted them on double pointed needles, and I knit a lot tighter with double pointed needles than I do with my short circulars. So I frogged what I had knit with my double point needles. I went up in needle size to 2.25, I believe. Yep, 2.25, which is the US one. But now they're a little bit big. It doesn't matter. It's knit cuff down. So I will do, when I get to the heel, I will knit the heel and the heel turn and the rest of the sock with one size smaller. So I will go to 2mm needles for that, to have a little bit more of a snug fit around my feet, because this is really quite wide. It's really, yeah, like I said, it's really quite wide, but I really like this. The colors really aren't coming across as they should. It's, yeah, that's better, but it's a really beautiful light pink. Yeah, that's it. I think it's showing up right here. And this is the teal, and the teal I dyed specifically for this project, if I remember correctly. And this is Scheepjes Invicta Glamour, and the sparkle in this, I don't know how well you can see, but it's rainbow sparkle. Can you see it? Yeah, I believe you can see it. The lurex thread in there. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. And now this color work doesn't look all the best because, well, I knitted with crinkly yarn that has been frogged before. So, yeah. I have one. I need to do half the repeat that I already have, and then it's time for the heel. And I'm excited about these. The second sock will be in reverse color, so it will have a pink ribbing and a pink background, and the color work will be green teal. So I think that's super nice. I'm excited about these. I was on a color work kick, let me tell you. The project that I'm going to show you, there's a lot of color work going on. So let me get these out of the way. Let me tell you about my sweater for a second, because I realized that I hadn't told you what I'm wearing. This is my, well, this wasn't a pattern, but this is my hand-dyed, hand-spun, hand-knit sweater that it's just a raglan, and I love it, and I always wear it all winter long, and I have been wearing it a couple of episodes in a row, I think now, but yeah, it's my favorite sweater to wear all winter long. Ever since I made it, I don't take it off, like and also I was putting some stuff away because my table was too full, and I hung my boyfriend's gift up here so you can see it. the next work in progress that I got is, it was getting very cold. Sorry about the sound. It was getting very cold, and my hands have a tendency to freeze, even if it's still quite warm outside. If it's 15 degrees Celsius, I already need gloves or mittens on when I'm riding my bike, and but also when we're walking, when it's like 5 degrees Celsius or colder, my hands freeze, even if I wear my woolen hand knit wool mittens with color work. So I thought, we're going to remedy that. We're going to do something about it. So I am going to make a pair of felted mittens. So I started knitting, and this is going to become a mitten. Like, it's huge because it's going to be felted, and it's going to shrink to about a third of the size. So one mitten. I'm not using a pattern. I have never felted anything. Well, I have felted a pair of slippers. But that yarn was really weird. It was a wool nylon blend, and I made a swatch and I felted it, and all was fine. But then I knit the mittens, slippers, and I felted them, and they were like, parts of them were felted and other parts weren't. And the wool nylon blend wasn't a wool nylon blend. It was wool nylon, wool nylon, wool nylon. It wasn't blended at all. So some of the parts were this slim, and then others were this white, and it was like, ooh. I threw them in the bin. Anyway, other than that, I have never felted anything, and I've never felted anything to fit. So I thought, well, I don't need a pattern. I've never done it, so I can do it, right? Well, the felting is probably not going to be a problem, but having it the right size will be a problem. So, but I looked at some free felted mitten patterns out there, and I just went with some measurements of needle size and stitch count, and I just made something up. I am doing it in color work, so like I said, I was on a color work kick. So it will be double thickness. The wool that I'm using, I'm doing it on double pointed needles. I don't know what size this is. They are Knit Pro symphonies, and the size always rubs off of these. Oh, they are 6mm needles. The wool that I'm using is Drops Nepal, and they are an alpaca wool blend. 65% wool, 35% alpaca. So as you can see, I'm really going for heat, right? They are color work, so they are double thick fabric, and they have a high percentage of alpaca. Also, what I'm thinking of doing is before I start felting them, I will put in a chain, crochet chain with cotton, one row of stitches, so that after it's felted I can pick up those stitches and knit a lining, because I need warm mittens. It's go big or go home, right? So I'm gonna make myself the most toasty mittens in the entire world. So yeah, work in progress. I am without a pattern, just making it up as I go. I think it will be fine. I'm gonna be fine, and if not, it's going to be an oven mitt. That's fine too. I need a new pair of oven mitts. Mine aren't really useful anymore because well, you can burn your hands while using my oven mitts, which is not really useful. Anyway, next work in progress has outgrown its project bag. Ta-da! I made this project bag like a year ago or something, but it doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't fit in here anymore. Okay, so this is my Kosekofte, and that's a pattern by Ellie, Skeindeer Knits on Instagram and YouTube and Ravelry, and she designs this gorgeous cardigan. called the Kosekofte. And it's an oversized jacket with stunning color work. It's a thick wool knit at a tight gauge in color work, and it will be fabulous. This is going to be my coat. Like, it's going to be like that warm and nice and thick and oversized. The wool that I'm using are these two. I've talked about these in the past. These come from Purewol.nl, which is like pure wool, but wool with just one O. .nl. This yarn is Swifter. I believe it's Swifter. It can be Texelaar, but I'm pretty sure it's Swifter. But they are very similar wool types, so it doesn't matter. And this is Blue Texelaar, which is this beautiful natural. It is a very dark brown, leaning towards gray, and it has this gray header in it, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful, and I have been working on it, and this is it. And I love it. I don't love knitting it, but I love what it's becoming. Look at that. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the last time I showed this one to you, I had only done this bottom band that will be folded to the inside, which is going to be so beautiful. And look at the inside. I love stranded color work on the inside. The wrong side is just as beautiful as the right side. And where's my steek? Where's the front? Here. This is going to be a steeked cardigan, so everything is going to be steeked with this one. So you knit extra stitches. I can't really show it to you properly, but here you knit extra stitches in this line where the color work looks uneven. Here it is, and that's where in the end you will cut it with scissors, and that's how this sweater becomes a cardigan. And the sleeves are also steeked and then picked up and knit afterwards. No, I think you knit the sleeves bottom up, otherwise the V's will be upside down. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's all steeks. Also the neckline is being steeked, and it's going to be fabulous. The reason I don't like knitting it is because, well, it's a lovely wool. It really is a pure, like, it's just this gorgeous wool, which is just, you can hear it cringe a little. But it's sticky yarn. It's a sticky wool. Like, I love that kind of wool, and the fabric is amazing. But I'm knitting on 3mm needles to get gauge. It's quite a tight gauge. It's a DKOA yarn, and I'm knitting it on 3mm needles, and it's kind of hurting my hands if I work on it for a long time. It's like, it's real work. It's really, every stitch is an effort to make. It's going to be worth it though, because it's going to be stunning. But yeah, I don't pick it up as much because of me not liking knitting it so much. The result is stunning. The wool is stunning. The pattern is amazing, but it's just the gauge is a bit tight for me. But it's, yeah, it gives this beautiful fabric that's going to be like this lovely coat, and I just want to have it. I want to have it. So I'm just knitting on it every now and then. But I do need to fix a different project bag for this, because it's like, it just doesn't fit. So I keep it like this. It works. It doesn't matter. So that was it for the knitting. That was it for knitting. Are you ready for some crocheting? I don't often crochet. It used to be my craft, my first choice craft, but then I always went through phases. So I had a phase, like I started out mostly crocheting, and then I got into a knitting phase, and then a crocheting phase, and a knitting phase, and a crocheting phase. But I had been knitting in a knitting phase for a very long time, with just a blanket, like working on a blanket here or there, but nothing serious. But like 2 days ago, I have been wanting to crochet a granny stripe blanket out of hand-dyed yarn for a long time, maybe a year or two, maybe, I'm not sure, because they are just beautiful. But I didn't start them because I knew I wasn't in a crocheting phase, and I knew they would become unfinished objects. And I do have a granny stripe blanket on the go already that I hardly ever work on, so why start a new one, right? That's asking for problems. But 2 days ago, Georgina from Happy Knitting NL on Instagram posted a photo of the blanket she was crocheting for her son, and it was stunning. It was all shades of blue and green, and it was so beautiful. And I thought, oh, now I want one too. I really want one. So I showed my boyfriend, and he also thought it was really beautiful. And I jokingly said, well, I can make this and his and hers blanket, like one for you, one for me, and they will be like sisters, but they will not be the same blanket. And I thought, well, his favorite colors are blue, and so I can make him in mostly blue, greens, yellows, those kind of colors. And then he is fine with pinks, it doesn't bother him, but he prefers blues. And then I can make for myself, I can make one, well, all colors are my favorite colors, but pink is my very favorite color, so I can have mine with every color that I love, but it will be mostly pinks. And then we both got very excited about that idea, so yeah, I started. I picked out some yarn and I started, and this is going to be mine. And mine, I'm starting out with my advent calendar. And as you can see, color 2 of the advent calendar is that one. And then color 4 of my advent calendar is here. So they are already in there. And for me, I'm just doing my advent calendar first. And these are all my sparkle base. And I love it. I love it so much. Oh, I can't wait to work some more on this one. But then I also started my boyfriend's one. So keep in mind, I started this 2 days ago. I've only worked on this for 2 evenings. I went crazy. So this is my boyfriend's one, which I got a lot further on. I got super excited about this one as well. See, it's mostly blues and yellows, but there are some pink speckles in here. There is going to be a little bit of pink, but I want the background. Like, it's okay if a yarn has pink speckles or purple speckles, but I don't want the main color of any of the yarns to be mainly like pink or purple or like that kind of color. I don't know. It's not necessarily like a gender thing. I don't feel like colors are gender related, and like he is going to get some pinks and purples, right? But I feel like it's fun to do something different. It's very much out of my comfort zone because I will always put pinks and purples in everything because I just love them. And I'm making this for him, and his favorite colors are blues and greens, so I'm going mostly blues and greens, and there's some yellow in here as well. But I think this is going to be fabulous. They are going to be single bed size, so we both sleep under a separate blanket, duvet, because he's too warm. I cannot lay next to him like under the duvet. It's I start boiling like that. So we need our own separate blankets. Otherwise I get overheated. So we get our own blankets, and one for him and this one for her. Tonight this one is it's my blanket's turn. And I'm crocheting them on 3.5mm needles. I think that's just a really nice size to get a lovely fabric. And yeah, I haven't started weaving in the ends. I will do that soon, but that's not something that bothers me. Weaving in ends, it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's just part of it. I don't mind it that much. Like some people really detest it, but it's not my favorite, but it's okay. It's not a problem. So that was my knitting, but you will see crocheting, but you will see this again soon because I'm so excited. Then I also have been spinning. Like I said, I wasn't in the mood to work on any of my projects, so I just worked on everything. When I finally started these, now I'm like, oh yeah, I have something to work on again. So I think this is like the only thing I will work on for the next few weeks. No, probably not, because knowing me, I will work on everything. But still, I've been doing some spinning, and I plied a bobbin with some fiber that I had finished spinning the singles for last time. It's really pretty. I think it's really pretty. I dyed the fiber myself. It's a merino silk blend. And yeah, it's really fun. Look, you can see through it on that side also. Like, yeah, really liking it. This is only half of the fiber. The other half needs to be plied still, but yeah, it's a fingering weight. So this is going to be a lovely sock yarn in fun summery colors. It's a merino silk blend, which is really nice for the summer as well. So I'm excited about these. They're going to be very pretty. But I also started my next spin, and this is beautiful. I love these colors. Look, there we go. Look how beautiful these colors are. It's a little bit darker than it's coming across on screen, but it's these navies and turquoise, and there's a lot of sparkle in there, which, well, you can't really see because it's in the layer underneath it. I'm also spinning this for fingering weight yarn, and what I want to do with this, what I have in my mind, is I want to spin this fingering weight yarn, and then with Lulu, I want to make it a top-down colorwork sweater by Jennifer Steinglass, and the Garden Gate pullover sweater. I don't know, Garden Gate, and it's beautiful colorwork, and I want the main color to be my pastel pink Lulu colorway, and then this for the contrast color, this navy blue. I think it's going to be beautiful. We'll see if I ever get to making that sweater, but the idea is there. It was from a beautiful bat, that fiber, sorry. It was from a beautiful bat by Spin City, UK, and I tore half of the fiber, half of the bat apart into mini little bat links. You can see some sparkle. And there's some silk and bamboo, and I hate spinning bamboo, but I'm still doing it because I really love these colors, and I think it's going to be beautiful. That's it for the spinning, really. But I have one more very exciting thing. And if you've watched my stories, oh no, I also shared it on Instagram in my in a regular post. I got a new toy. A super exciting new toy. I got a circular sock knitting machine. I am now the proud owner of an Ulbacher Gerhardt Speedster. And it's fabulous. I got a custom color, and I cannot show it to you right now because it's not in its final definite position, but I will show it to you someday. I will make a pretty picture of it. But this is the color. Oh, and there's the shine. So It's a very pretty pink. Oh, and I love it. It has a white pearl sparkle in it. There, look, I finally got it to focus. Look at that. The pink is not showing up properly in this shot, but you can really see the sparkle in there. So yeah, really excited. I'm not good at it yet. It's pretty difficult. Like, the concept of how it works is really simple, but to get it working exactly the way you want to is quite difficult. And let me show you why. Because this is one of the first things I made. What you knit with the sock machine. Okay, a sock knitting machine is just like a sewing machine. It's still knitting, it's still hard work, but it's going a little bit faster and a little bit easier. Just like sewing with a sewing machine, it's still sewing, but you use a machine to do it instead of hand stitching every single stitch. So in my opinion, using a sock knitting machine is still definitely knitting, but you use a tool to make it go faster and easier. That's just my opinion. I got it because of my shop. I want to be able to have samples of most, well, I wanted to say all, but at least most of my colorways. And if people ask for a sample, I want to be able to show it to them. But I don't want it to take over my knitting life. So, like I told you before, I love knitting with self-striping yarn and I love knitting with my own yarn. But having to knit all these samples by hand, it's just taking me forever, and it's taking away from the things that I actually do want to knit. So it's taking away so much, it's taking away the joy of knitting for me if I can only knit these samples that I have to, because it's obligation knitting and I don't like obligation knitting. And knitting with a sock knitting machine is just so much faster than knitting by hand. And my camera just stopped recording and I didn't notice until the lens disappeared into the camera. Anyway, like I said, knitting by hand with the sock knitting machine is a lot faster than knitting by hand, and that's just going to help me knit samples because yeah, it's just a lot faster and I'm excited about it, but I'm not good at it yet. This was one of the first things I knit on the machine. These are not colorways that I have in my shop or anything. These are just yarns that I once dyed and didn't like enough to put in the shop. But you might be able to see that this yellow tube is a lot narrower than this black and white tube. They were knit at the same settings on the machine, the same tension settings, but this cake was caked very loosely and this cake was caked up quite tightly. And just that little bit of difference in how tight you wind your cake has this big of a difference, this big of an influence on how your sock tube will knit up. And you might think, well, that's not that much of a difference, right? It absolutely is. This fits my feet beautifully. It's nice and snug, has some negative ease. Perfect. This, it just sags from my leg down. This, it's way too big for me. So that's one thing I have to keep in mind. Like, tension is really quite difficult on the sock knitting machine. When you put the tension too tight, you're going to slip stitches and you get strands of yarn on the inside of your fabric, which, let me show you the inside. Because this was knit at a loose tension, that's why it's so much looser than the yellow. This was knit at a tight tension. Too tight of a tension because I kept slipping stitches, and that's why all these strands of yarn are on the inside. You don't want this for your sock because your toes are going to get stuck when you try to put it on. You can't really see it. Well, you can see it on the right side, but it's not super obvious, but you can see it here. Like that there are things going on that don't really look right. So yeah, that's interesting. Getting your tension right and getting the cake wound up exactly at the right tension and that kind of thing. Then I also knit a tube because I just was curious. This one is kind of the right tension. I've put in some markers. I don't really remember what they are for. Don't know. I put them there for a reason, but I don't know why. This one doesn't really have a lot of slip stitches, just a few. And I think the tension is, it's a nice tension, I think. It's tight, but not too tight, but you can feel that it's quite stiff. So I think this is the right tension. But like I said, it's quite difficult. And I'm using some really ugly yarn for it. Just messed up. Then I thought I try and I wanted to try and see if I could knit a full sock. I wasn't expecting it to work out like a sock that would fit me, but just I wanted to try to see if I could and what it would get me. So I started with, I haven't tried the ribber dial yet because it's difficult enough as it is, and baby steps. I haven't had much time at all to work on it yet, so that will be that's my next thing to learn. But I tried out a heel, and I think I didn't do bad for a first heel. I did slip a stitch here. I missed a wrap and turn. Yeah, it's a dark yarn, so you can't really see, but there's a gap here. Oh, that's not supposed to be there. I missed a wrap and turn, but I got a heel. Look. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to knit the same amount of rows before I go to the toe as I always knit for my socks. 75 rows from heel to toe. Well, 75 rows on the sewing machine was a lot more than by hand. So this is what I got. Then I knit, so it's far too big. Doesn't matter. It was never going to be an actual fitting thing. I'd never expected that to be. I was impressed with my heel working out this great. So I didn't expect the heel to look like anything like a heel at all. So and then I knit the toe, which is basically just another heel without a gap. Look, I didn't get a gap anywhere. And what you then do is you can Kitchener stitch these sides together. So you can either put the yellow on the inside, which is scrap yarn, and Kitchener like the toe like that, or you can turn it inside out and Kitchener from the wrong side, which is easier. You can just Kitchener both bumps together. And once you've Kitchener together, and Kitchener stitch, by the way, is really simple. Some people find it difficult to remember how to start it, but it will give you a look that it just looked like knit stitches. Where are my self-striping socks? All these heels are closed with Kitchener stitch, and they just look like knit stitches. Like, you can hardly see that they are there. There's no seam on the inside or anything. It's just knit fabric, but you made a knit fabric with your needle and thread, and that's what you do. And then you pull out the waste yarn and you got a toe, and then you have a sock knit on the sock machine. So yeah, and then I wanted to try another heel, so that's what I did. I did try another heel. I did try half of another heel up here, and then I changed and did another half, which I like better. So yeah, sock knitting machine. I'm excited about it. I'm thinking of, well, I'm just, for now I've practiced enough heels. I just want to crank some tubes, long sock tubes, and then cut in heels and toes just for practice. But once I get good at it and I can make proper tubes, like without slip stitches and at a proper gauge and everything, would it be something you'd be interested in if I sold tubes? So what I mean by that is I would just, if I would grab one of my skeins of yarn and I would just crank it and make a very long tube, like a sock snake, as Amy Florence from the Stranded podcast would call it, and then sell that with a contrasting mini or something, that you can make your own afterthought everything socks without having to knit the sock. Is that something you'd be interested in? Please let me know. I would love to hear that. Also, one thing I want to say at the end is like I said, I feel like for me a sock knitting machine is no less knitting than knitting by hand. It's different. It's definitely different. But it's still a lot of work. It's not like you don't push a button and everything is all right and you're gonna have a sock in a minute. No, it takes an hour to crank a full, like, I don't know, man. It took me an hour and a half or something, or 2 hours to make this. So it's really like still a lot of work. So it's okay if you have a different opinion. If you think it's not sock knitting or it's not actual knitting, that's fine, but please be respectful about it. I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinions, but that doesn't mean you have to be mean about it. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be very useful for my business, but I will of course also use it for my personal use, so that I can knit other things than socks, which I'm super excited about. I will still knit socks because socks are my jam and they are fantastic for knitting on the go. But yeah, so that was it. That was it, guys. That was a long episode. But I haven't been around for a long time. I have some really exciting things coming up and I wish I could talk to you about them already, but unfortunately I cannot yet. But soon I will keep you updated, and it's a dream come true and I can't wait to share it with you. So yeah, I hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you had fun with all the snow and that you kept warm with all your knitwear and crochet wear and everything that you made. And until I see you again, I hope you have so much fun with everything you do and everything that you create, and I hope that you stay safe and well, and see you soon. Bye.